Hello, and welcome to The Top Floor, the podcast where Charlotte area CEOs get to tell their leadership journey. My name is Jeff Cass. I'm an executive coach and the leader of a peer advisory group for CEOs and business leaders here in Charlotte, and I'll be your host today. I'm glad to welcome JoePat Roop from Belmont Capital Advisors. JoePat, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. It's good to be here.
Yeah, you keeping cool today? It's a little warm out there.
It is definitely hot, and the air conditioner is working extra time here. We have our main office is a home built in 1898, so there's lots of cracks for that cold air to slip through. But it's working hard to try to keep us cool anyway.
Okay, and you're actually in the town of Belmont, correct?
Yep, we're 2 doors up from City Hall, right on Main Street. Our address, I couldn't make this up. It's 123 North Main. So
1, 2, 3.
Yep.
That's an all-American address. You gotta love it.
Yep, that's for sure.
So you and I have talked a little bit leading into this interview, but tell us a little bit about what you do and how long you've been with Belmont Capital Advisors.
Yeah, so we Belmont Capital started in 2009. I think I incorporated February or March of 2009, and I've been in this financial planning industry since 1992, when I started as an intern with Merrill Lynch in college. But really, if you guys know much about the markets, 2008, 2009, we were going through the Great Recession there, and just really felt like there was no direction for me at the current sort of one of those big box firms I was working at. I didn't really like everything going into the market. And even back then, we focused on, retirement planning for folks entering into and going through retirement. So this sort of helped us branch off, become our own entity, and really start doing independent financial planning without the oversight of some corporate bureaucracy telling us what to do. So today, we really only answer to our employees and our clients, primarily our clients. They're the folks who drive everything for us, and those clients we work with are really the folks that are, entering into retirement, getting close to retirement, and a lot of folks come to us after they're in retirement because they realize, hey, this really worried about losing or running out of money in my retirement and paying too much in taxes on their income. So those are the primary areas we focus with our practice.
Okay. So 2009, we know what was going on then. You mentioned it, the Great Recession. So that must have been an interesting decision to start the business at that point. You mentioned so was it just you that was starting it, or were there multiple people at that point that were starting it?
So it was myself and a part-time assistant. And my wife at the time, she had a day job in Charlotte, so she was doing her thing. And I always say we because now we've just grown, and there's so, we have about 4 to 6 financial advisors, depending on how you count our CFPs and our service advisors. But I can't do this by myself today. And so it's back then, I guess you could say it was but that was the beginning phases. It was myself and a part-time assistant, and that quickly blossomed from probably a 12 by 12 small office in downtown Belmont here, and we moved across the street from a post office into a more permanent office building. We stayed there for quite some time, but we've been in our new office now for about 5 years, I believe, here on Main Street. But we only moved a block away, so it's always been right here in downtown Belmont. So,
okay. So tell us about that decision. Like, how difficult was it? It sounds like, you knew you wanted to get away from maybe corporate bureaucracy, but was it a challenging thing where, you're kind of putting the whole house on the line, so to speak, to start a business, or was it something that was in your mind a little less risky?
Jeff, I think I would like to tell you and everybody that it was a very planned decision, and but it wasn't. It was a very tough time in my life. I was struggling at the firm I was with. I felt like they didn't have the right offerings for our clients, and I was actually contemplating getting out of the business altogether. And luckily, a friend of mine contacted me, and he was actually someone I trained in the business. Years before this, he told me what he was doing, and he was in the independent space. And I didn't realize then how much opportunity and freedom an independent advisor has versus some of the bigger box retail versions. And so when he sort of went through that with me, I said, you know what? This sounds great. I knew him and trusted him. And he said, here's a roadmap for you to run on. And I really put my nose down. I took that roadmap and I started running. And I went on really blind faith, as I had trained him before. And now it was like the tables were turned, and he sort of trained me into the marketing side of this business, and, the client acquisition side for an independent advisor. So we picked that up pretty fast. I already knew the nuts and bolts of the business. And so we really did get up and running really quick. And, it turns out, while that was a very tough time in my career and life, with the market going down, just, and we were having a tough time like everybody else with the market and the economy and everything. This turned out to be, I would say, the best move I ever made, is starting the company, and getting going, and having that, independence that we now have.
Okay. So that's good. A really interesting crossroads to life and business. But today you've grown substantially in that 15 years, right? So how many total people do you have at Belmont?
I think the number is pretty close to 18 right now. It ebbs and flows between, if you count interns, we might be at 20, but I think people that are on the payroll that we're actually paying are about 18.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So pretty nice growth over 15 years. So that, that decision was an important one. Okay, so fast forward to today, we understand the challenges you face then growing the business, hiring the right people, getting new clients. It sounds like, what are your biggest issues or problems that you face today?
Today, I think finding qualified talent is tough. We would love to hire a couple more great financial advisors, but hiring qualified advisors that actually know and understand the taxes, and to really do a holistic plan, we probably need CFPs. So we've looked to hire more CFPs, but they're not just sort of like fish jumping into the boat. We have to really look for them, find the right person that understands this business and wants to work hard. This is a tough business, especially to start out in. Most people do fail as starting off as a financial advisor. I think in our offline conversation, you mentioned you have a family friend who they're the one person out of their class that started in their firm that's still there. I think that's could be said the same for me in some of the classes that I went through in my growth through the years doing this. But so it's tough, but if you love the business, you love the people, and you can really help folks, get somewhere. I kind of tell people, we don't help you get there. Once you're there, we're gonna help you preserve what you have and make sure it never goes away. So I'm kind of on the back nine of this. Phase one is the accumulation side. We're phase two, where you've accumulated it. We're gonna help you preserve it and make sure you never have to go back to work.
Okay. And part of that is the investment strategy. Part of that would be the taxes, I assume, right? I mean, what other components are there, in your planning?
So, the first thing we look at is income. Where are your income sources? How predictable and sustainable are your income sources? A lot of us, we just think of a number. Everyone has this number that they think they need. But really, it depends on, do you want to leave assets to your children? Do you want to die broke? And these days, surprisingly, a lot of folks are saying, no, I've paid for their college, I've paid for the weddings. I'm happy to let them go with no inheritance. And so their goal is, to die as close to broke as they can, but they still need the income to preserve their integrity throughout their lifetime. So we're going to use a combination. We're a holistic planning firm, so we're really looking at taxes, insurance, investments, everything together. And how can we have that sustainable, predictable, consistent income stream for them throughout their retirement? And, there was a study done, I forget which big insurance company it was, but they surveyed about 3,000 baby boomers, and they found out that 68% of them were really They were more afraid of running out of money versus dying. So it's a true fear that, I really think in most cases it can be solved. And if you really have that as a focus of preserving their assets and or income, people are really surprised about how little it takes once they really sit down with us.
But it is a challenging thing. I mean, to pull the trigger, having done it, retiring from the corporate life and making that decision, you look at the finances and say, okay, this is what I got to live on for the rest of my life. And the big variables are how long are you going to live?
Yep.
What are you going to do? How are you going to spend it? But I also would say, and maybe you can share a little bit of your experience here, is finances are only part of the decision to retire because you deal with a lot of retirees.
Oh,
I
yes.
mean, lifestyle, enjoyment of life, in retirement, all those things are big components. Is that a big part of your discussion with your clients?
Yeah, really understanding their lifestyle is very, very critical. Um, you know, are you a member of a country club? Do you trade cars every 2 years? Just those, where do you travel and how do you travel? Like, one time a guy said to me, he says, well, am I going to have enough for a travel budget? And I'm like, well, where do you travel and how? you know? And, he said, well, we'd like to go to Myrtle Beach about 3 times a year and we always stay at the Hampton Inn. I said, brother, you're good.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
he was going to be he could go 10 times a year if he wanted. But I was listening for we're going to take a lot of cruises. We're going to stay at the Ritz-Carlton. Is it a $50,000 a year travel lifestyle or a 10 or 15? And so to each client, they're very different things, but to each one, they're very, very important. And so making sure that we've budgeted in to their annual budget for their income, uh, lifestyle, travel, grandkids, whatever those things are. And then you also really need to be planning for the unexpected. And, even though I've been in this business for, now over 30 years, what never ceases to surprise me is the things that always surprise me and my clients. It's just, we never thought we would see that happen. And then we see it. And, you know, it's just, we are constantly amazed, at the different things. And what's amazing to me is how quick we forget is these things. We're talking to clients today, and their memory of 2008, 2009 is very foggy. They don't remember those days when that 401k lost 40%. And they just think the stock market is this ever climbing animal that just, never goes down. And we have to sort of remind them that, hey, yes, there's been many periods that it's not only lost, but stayed flat for many years. So education is a I really feel like that's the biggest part of what we do is helping clients understand where they're at, where they're going, but do that through education. We don't really push upon anyone certain products. It's helping you understand that lifestyle. Everyone here gets what we call a one-page plan that it's simple, it's understandable. And a couple of times we had some multi-million dollar folks come in and I was a little bit intimidated at first because I'm like, are they going to really resonate with our plan? But I still give them the same plan I give everybody else. And, to my surprise, they really said, thank you so much. No one has ever showed us a plan like this that we can understand. Certainly they had seen plans before, but the key thing is, can you execute? And I could give you a 20-page plan, a 50-page plan, but if you cannot execute on that plan, then it's kind of worthless. And so our plans are executable. We give them their one page. You can walk out of our office with us. And so that's really like our flagship. That's the thing we hang our hat on is it's a one-page plan. It's simple to understand. You know where you're at, you know where you're going. And if life changes, if it throws you a curveball, come in, we update your plan, and hopefully we can straighten things out.
Okay, so talk a little bit about your clients, if you would. Do you start working with them on the plan before retirement in most cases, or are most of them post-retirement?
Unfortunately, or fortunately for us, it depends how you want to look at it. Most clients come to see us about a month to 6 months before they retire.
Oh boy.
So now as a financial advisor, I would tell you, hey, if you're 40 years old, you need to start today. If you're 20 years old, you need to start today. Like start, when is the best day to plant a tree? 20 years ago. So that's what people should be doing. But if I'm telling you what they actually do, we host a radio show, Retirement for Living, on WBT, and a lot of folks listen to me there. But when they actually make the phone call is when they've gotten the pink slip, or they get 1 year severance, and they're like, well, I guess I need to go talk to JoePat now and figure out how we're going to do this thing. So that tends to be when they come in. If they would have come in sooner, yes, there's multiple things we could have started on, guiding them where their taxes are now versus where they're going to be, start doing some of those planning steps ahead. But we just meet you where you are today.
Okay.
And we're honest with where you are today. And then we, look at the challenges that you face, whether that be taxes, income, whatever those things might be. We address those, educate you on them, and then all that goes into the one-page plan. And then we give you something that you can execute on so that you can have that consistent, durable income throughout your retirement.
Okay. So ideally, you'd have folks that were planning for retirement when they're 40 or 30, but typically it sounds like when you get them, it's right before retirement. That's the more common thing. Then you'll meet them where they are.
Yep. So a new customer we just brought on last week, they're still retiring from Wells Fargo. They're getting a 1 year severance. They still have 6 months in the severance, but for the most part, they don't expect to go back to work. So now that the money is getting ready to end, they're now talking to us. So that, again, tends to be kind of typical. So people, if you're listening and things, that's normal. A lot of people feel bad and nervous about coming in. Whether you talk to us or someone else, just go in and talk to a financial advisor. We're really here to help you get that plan started and, start helping you make the right decisions to move you in the right direction.
123 Main Street, right?
Yeah.
I'll always remember that.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I understand from listening to you that one of the things that differentiates your firm would be a simple, comprehensive plan, something that people can understand. Anything else that would differentiate you from the competition?
I think we really focus on taxes. A lot of financial advisors at the big retail firms are not permitted to even discuss taxes with clients. And so we want to work hand in hand. We're not doing people's taxes. We're not CPAs, but we do understand Roth conversions, the taxation of IRAs. There's a lot of mystery out there about how Social Security is taxed, what makes it taxable versus not taxable. So we give classes on a regular basis on Social Security planning, how Social Security is taxed, how to potentially avoid taxes on Social Security, whether you qualify for that or not. And so having a very deep understanding of the taxes as it pertains to income, especially in retirement, that's something that I think definitely sets us apart, because that's really hand in glove when it comes to your income planning. If you can save money on taxes, or we don't want surprised as a financial advisor, clients calling us at the end of the year saying, hey, I need $20,000 for taxes. And a lot of people don't realize, but taxes are probably going to be your number one biggest expense in retirement. And so we want to just tackle that head on, help people understand where they're at today, what type of lifetime tax bill they're going to have, and are things that we can be doing to help them with that. A lot of people also know about the required minimum distributions. That's when you turn a specific age, it's into your 70s now, 73 is when it starts now. You have to the government forces you to take money out of your IRA and pay taxes. And so the final step, is also, we're doing end of life planning, legacy, and helping them understand, how is their IRA going to be taxed when they pass away? What about life insurance? How does that fit in? And then, another big hole in people's armor is long-term care. We're seeing clients start now to pay, used to be $10,000, $9,000 a month was a lot. We've now seen clients pay upwards of $12,000, $13,000 a month for long-term care. expense. So there's ways to plan around that. Even if you don't want to pay insurance premiums for that, because most people don't want to, and a lot of people just can't afford to, there's still ways to plan around that and do so in a cost-effective and tax-efficient way.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. All right, so I'm going to maybe take a little bit of a change here of the questions. So I want to go back to one thing that you were talking about earlier and talk more about your business. Okay, so you had mentioned that you had a coworker or maybe a former coworker that had given you a lot of advice when you were starting this business. Can you maybe talk about the most influential coach or advisor you've had? Either maybe starting the business or since you've started the business.
So when I started a business, I affiliated with a group called Three Mentors. And they were basically three coaches. One of them was my friend who I had trained, and now he was turning into tables and helping train me as an independent advisor. And he had two other partners, and they formed a company called Three Mentors that's since been sold and moved on. But we would meet on a quarterly basis and really just share best ideas, what's working in your practice, how are you acquiring clients, what is the best ways to do it, and really how can you grow your business. In those days, it was really from zero to wherever you want to be. Maybe it was $1 million a year, $2 million a year. These days we're doing a lot better than that, but back then, if I remember my first year in business, we did 400,000 in revenue. And, at the time that was good. And we've consistently grown and doubled and tripled that multiple times since then. But those early stages of meeting on a quarterly basis with your peers and other people who had already been down this path, I think that was really instrumental for me in, surviving those early years, having a really good group to call on if you were in a tight spot that sort of understood what you're going through and could really help you through that.
So at the time, they were focused on your industry and helping folks that were in financial planners, right? So that was
Yep.
very, I guess, timely and
Yep.
needed for you, correct?
Yep. Everything worked out. I think it was God, but I think it was his hand. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you found them at the right time. They found you, however it was, divine
Yep.
intervention. But it was something that helped you get off the ground and needed. So that I could see where that timing was important, and the type of advice was really important. So how long did you work with three mentors? You said, right?
I think we worked with them for about 5 years. And I've since then transitioned over to a group called Impact Partners. They're out of Marietta, Georgia. And so they've kind of morphed into more of a strategic alliance for us. So we do get some coaching, some consulting through them. They help us on the marketing side. They help me produce my radio show, the TV work that I do. A lot of times I will go down to Marietta, record the TV commercials, and then they edit them and ship them up here to Charlotte, and they air up here. So they're a very good partner for us in that space as well today.
Okay, I see. Yeah. So what about running the business? Because now you're also, you went from two people to 18 or 20, whatever it is, right? Now you have to spend a significant amount of time running the business. Do they help you run the business as well and give you advice there?
Some days I have sometimes.
Sometimes.
So
Okay.
I will say that as any business grows and you go from being the guy in the field doing it yourself to training others to do what you previously did. So I'm in financial planning. So now we have other financial planners working for us, and I'm trying to guide and coach them and do less of that myself. So whatever field or business you're in, if you started the company, there was a day when you were in the ditch digging, you were laying the pipe, whatever it is in your business, right? And so today I'm half in, half out, and I'm really transitioning this so that this business can run without me. Because in my
Okay.
personal opinion, I don't think I can really say that I have a company unless this company can operate without me. When it can operate without me in the driver's seat, then I've created something. But making that transition, some people in my industry, they don't want to make the transition. But I see tremendous freedom with that. I get as much or more joy watching advisors grow, provide for their family, and provide for clients as much as I do sitting with the client.
Okay.
So
Okay.
so I really do get a high from that, and watching that happen, watching train them, that's fun for me. And so it's I've made a conscious decision to bring those people on to grow our business, to have other offices. We have an office in Cornelius. We're getting ready to open one in South Charlotte. So those kind of growth, you now have to keep the culture in those other offices, maintain your standards, and still make payroll, all that. So it becomes a bit of a juggling act and
So maybe
transition.
it's the term player coach right now is where you are, right? Because you are a
Yeah.
player. You have to basically manage some business, but then you also have to coach new advisors and run the business. So you're still in that point, but you ultimately want to be the coach only. That's what you're working towards?
Yep. Yep. Ultimately, that's where I would like to be. At least have that choice. There'll always be a few clients that'll never give me up, and I would never give them up. But but that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fair enough. And maybe you answered some of this, but if you think maybe over the next 5 years, what are your aspirations for the business?
So ultimately, I would like to grow the business to be over $1 billion in um, assets under management, and that's not counting insurance or annuities. That's just mutual funds, ETFs, stocks and bonds, and those things. So that's one longer term goal. It'll probably take us a little more than 5 years to do that. I'm probably thinking more like 8 or 10. But that's the direction I'm heading. And then having multiple offices here in Charlotte, and really having a key advisor in each of those offices, one, two, or three key advisors, depending on the location, and really help them grow and make a lot of money and have fun. I mean, this can be a really fun business, helping clients, watching them enjoy their retirement without worrying about what the stock market or China is going to do tomorrow. When I see people come into our office and they literally are stressed out like they were at work because they're worried about the stock market, they're worried about the presidential election, and that's on topic today. But really, like, we're talking about a 30-year retirement plan. We got to do something that's going to work no matter which guy gets elected or gal gets elected. We have to expect the wrong person that you think you want elected isn't, they probably won't get it, right? We need to be okay with that because our income is needed for 30 years. And many of our clients want to leave a legacy for their kids. So watching those advisors grow, helping them do that for their clients, and then taking that stress off the client, and having them be able to provide above average living for their family I really get a big kick out of that.
Okay, that's what you enjoy most out of the business right now.
Yep. Yep. I
Okay.
would say today that's what I enjoy the most.
Okay. So you're working on your third office then. Do you see more than 3 offices in the Charlotte area?
Yeah. Within the easy driving geographic area here, we're really doing it by advisor, finding the right person to put there. But Rock Hill, Concord, Morrisville, Denver, all of those are just building around 485, really. Fort Mill,
Mm,
all of those are great growing locations. that I think statistically, clients don't want to drive more than 20 minutes to see their financial advisor.
Okay. Okay.
So a lot of people do it over Zoom and they talk about that, but I've found those tend to be more transactional. We are much more face-to-face, get to know you, have a relationship, versus a one-off transaction.
Okay. Yeah, I would think so. My financial advisor is my brother, by the way. So I like the face to face with him, and trust is an important thing. So you can build that probably a lot better if you're in person than over Zoom. Zoom has
Yeah.
changed a lot, but I assume that that's what where you're going when you want to be close to your clients.
Yep. Yep. I mean, the world works with Zoom, and that's fine if we have to hop on a Zoom with the client. But we really like to meet you face to face, get to know you and understand who you are, what you're about, what your goals are, and build a plan that really reflects your goals.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so talk a little bit, if you would, about your own personal development over time, because, and I'm thinking more about people skills because you have to deal with clients every day. Some of them stressed out, as you mentioned, but you also had to learn to manage more people inside your business, which might be a little bit different kind of people skills. So talk about that, if you would, because I think that's an important skill for any leader. If they're running a business, they have to have good people skills, and sometimes we're just not equipped with it when we first start becoming a manager or a leader.
I think sometimes as a business owner, we probably forget that our number one clients are our employees first. So a lot of times as a business owner, you think of your customers, but really your employees are the first facing outreach that are touching your customers. And so really we building that culture, building um, a culture of care, helping our employees understand our goals and values, the client's goals and values, and have them be very respectful to them. I think is very, very important. Um, but these are things I didn't think of when I started the company. Um, and so, originally I read books like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I kind of avoided all of those management books. Since then, I'm now kind of turning back and saying, okay, what can I learn? What's out there? Because, management is a skill too. And
Hmm.
I've just worked super hard to get here. And, but I realized to grow to that next level, to create a company that can run without me, you also really need to understand the management side and the people skills of the employees, not just your clients.
Yeah, and what is that culture? That's important. So if a business is going to run without you, there has to be a defined kind of culture. There has to be a defined how we do business. And I think was that something that evolved for you over time as the business grew?
It's definitely evolved. And, one of the guys that I work with still today, his name is Gary Reed. He was one of the three mentors, and I still keep in touch with him. And he kind of told me one time, I was talking about an employee I was having trouble with, and he goes, "Well, you have to sandwich this. You have to tell them something good, then tell them the bad, and then give them something good again. Like you got to, start off easy, give them the bad news, and do that, And I'd never really thought about that. I was just like, well, they're screwing this up. I need to tell them. And he's like, no, 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 no. You might lose them that way. And I'm like, okay. So, until those type of things come around, it's not something that I really thought about.
Okay.
Um, I
Okay.
was acting just like my clients. They show up here 2 months before they're going to retire and they're like, hey, can I do it? And it's like the employees are already here. And it's like, oh, you mean I need to be a good manager? So
Okay.
that's definitely, again, I didn't go into this thinking I'm going to have 20 employees. They just sort of showed up as growth and demand, you know.
Okay. But there
So
must have been more to that, I would think. I mean, Joe Pat, I mean, you're being maybe a little bit humble here. So talk about maybe how it evolved because you don't grow from 2 people to 20 just by accident, right? So maybe for you, thinking back, what were those key things that helped you grow or have helped you grow?
so one of the things the three mentors told me in the beginning, one of the other guys' names of the three mentors was Rodney, and Rodney said, do this plan. Do not alter the plan. And I listened and I did it. That was very good advice. And so ongoing, people said, when you get this busy, you need to hire an assistant. You need to hire another advisor. You need to hire a junior advisor. You need to hire. And so I was very quick to adapt. I knew that I only had this many hours in a day, that I could only see effectively 2 to 4 people a day. I knew that. And I knew that in order to service my existing clients and still build the business, I'm not enough. I can't do it. And so, the first couple hires were tough because you're like, how can I afford $50,000 or $100,000 a year? But I soon realized that as soon as I hired them, my income also went up, and that they were providing a much needed service and allowing me to do what I'm better at, which was growing the business. And so I kind of got on that juice early in a good way, because I see in my business great financial planners, but really poor business runners. They're good with money and good with, maybe 50 clients, but it'll always only be 50 because they reluctantly will not hire around them to support their business to grow. And so again, I really like watching the advisors grow. I like helping other people. And there's a lot to this business that, quite frankly, I don't like. And that was another thing that I learned is, we're good at certain skills as people. And you probably have some great skills that I'm pretty terrible at, and vice versa. But to hire around you, to bring in the people around you that love doing those things that you do not like to do, which for me is paperwork. So I have some rock stars at paperwork, and they really helped me with that. And, without them, this business could not run at the level it does. So that's strategically how I look at those things is, today, where do you as a person, where does your heart thrive? What do you love to do? Whether it's Excel, working with people, we got both of those things here. So let's help you do that. You'll probably be a better employee to me. We'll probably both make more money as a result. And so I would say early on, those first couple hires were the hardest. And I think hiring, when you're a growing company, from the roots up, those first few hires, you're thinking to yourself, I'm paying them more money than I made my first year here. So, you're having conversations with yourself like that. But really, in order for you to grow, you need people just as or more talented than you to surround yourself with. And so the people I have here doing paperwork are way better at it than me. I have people here that are smarter at financial planning than what I am. But together, to collaborate together, we can deliver something together way better than what I can by myself.
Okay. So that first hire, boy, I could see where that would be kind of difficult. You're paying them more than you made the first year, and wow, how are you going to pay for them? But it sounds like you became more confident that as you added more people, you could add the growth, and you saw that more linear growth, as you added people. Is that a fair assessment of kind of how you evolved, over time?
Yep. So it was definitely a key indicator for me that we saw our sales really rise and continue to rise as we had the staff to service them and other advisors to help bring them on as well.
Okay. Makes sense. So I know you said to me before you don't necessarily like the word CEO, even though you could probably put CEO title on you. You're the president and founder, I think, of Belmont Capital.
Yeah.
So talk about, if you would, maybe your leadership style. Have you thought about that at all?
I don't like a lot of confrontation. I definitely do not micromanage. We bring people in and we give them the guidance. Today I have a couple managers, an operations manager and a business manager, and I let them do some of that managing for me because I realize that's not probably my strongest suit. but I really want people to thrive in their own environment. I don't want, while we do have to follow certain protocols to get things done, I really want to give people the freedom to operate within their own space, have their own ideas, because I truly think if they're left alone and we have the same mission and goal, they can probably come up with ways better than me. And so I want to encourage that type of environment where people can have the autonomy to, as long as their job gets done, if you can find a better way to do it, that would be great. If not, this is the way it worked for me. Here's that path. And if you can make it better or shorter, have a better client experience, then that would be great. And so those are things that we're always consistently working on. But I'm definitely not a micromanager. Hire people for the job. And one of my planners, she told me, she goes, she worked for me for probably 6 months, and she goes, "You've given me way more latitude than I ever dreamed."
Mm.
And she was thanking me because she could then explore and learn what she needed. And she's one of our best planners. But in no way did I did not want to restrict her. She had a special talent of her own that she brought to the table. And so I thought she was very intelligent when we hired her. Turns out she's still with us today. And so, if I would have tried to carve out a hole for her and say, you have to do this or just do these plans, she would have probably left me. And my clients today would not be benefiting from her experience and knowledge. So, I think it's those core values. It's like when you go to church, you don't have to convince people in the choir to believe in God. They're already there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
we want to bring in people that have those same core values and beliefs. And from there, if your core values are there and we're aligned, then we can really do some great damage as teammates and planners and business owners.
Okay. Okay. Do you get together for something fun with the group, the entire, all the offices, once a year, twice a year, or how do you do that to continue to build, I guess, camaraderie with everybody?
We we do not do that enough. I have told the team that if we hit certain goals, that I would take them somewhere exotic, whether that's a tropical island or somewhere I'm not sure yet. So, but in the meantime, we're doing one of our first outings. I don't even know the name of it. Someplace in Charlotte, so we can go as a team. It's apparently they have a lot of different things to do, but I let the team choose some choices. They brought me 3 or 4 different choices. I let them vote on it, and they picked this one. So we're doing that now. We need to do more of that for sure.
Okay. Okay. All
One
right.
of the struggles of running a team is you're so diverse. You have young people, older people, people that can go whitewater rafting, and people that, have trouble walking up and down the stairs. So, and they're all on your team. So trying to balance that out sometimes is tough.
Yeah, right. And not everybody's going to want to go whitewater rafting, right? So how do you appeal to everyone? I understand. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple more questions for you here. Now, you've talked a little bit as we're going through this, kind of things that you've learned, but maybe just consolidate it for everybody. What have you learned about yourself over the last 15 years since you started Belmont Capital?
You can do way more than you thought.
Okay.
You can overcome obstacles that you did not ever expect would be there. I think the ability to, or the stubbornness to not quit is probably my strongest point.
Okay.
But through that, if you can continue on, no matter how hard some of those days are, if you really see the vision of what can be, I think you can be rewarded for that tenacity.
Okay. Okay. Much harder than you ever would have pictured than growing this business, I take it, huh?
Yeah, it's when you are the sometimes I jokingly say, well, I'm the chief bottle washer and janitor here because if nobody else does it, that's who it's left
Mm-hmm.
to. Um, and obviously we have people that we hire for those things, but if they don't show up, it's still on you.
Mm-hmm.
If employees leave, it's on you. Um, if payroll is short, it falls back on you. And
Mm-hmm.
so, I think cash flow is one of the toughest things a business owner faces, balancing out cash flow with growth plans and paying yourself, all of that, and paying your taxes.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the first lessons I learned is, geez, we have to pay taxes too. So, all of that are, things I've learned along the way, um, in this journey. But it's a journey, and I don't feel like I've arrived at any magical destination. We've just worked super hard. We got some great people around us, and we're constantly trying to keep the wheels on this thing.
There you go. Yep. What was it? Harry Truman said, "The buck stops here." I would say that probably fits with what you're talking about, right? Because it does stop
Yep,
with you when it comes to Belmont Capital.
yep, yep. It
Yeah,
does.
no doubt. Okay, last questions here. So, thinking about the full discussion that we've had, what advice would you have for any new executive or new CEO or president, or maybe the founder of a new capital advisory firm?
Love your people. Get to know your employees and really love them, understand them. Um, really seek to understand their talents, and then um, make sure you are communicating your mission and the objective of your firm, those ones that you serve and how you serve them and what you do for them. Make sure the whole team is bought into that, and that that's your mantra. That's how you move forward. And the name of my radio show is Retirement for Living. We really want to make that. We really want to help people have a retirement that they don't have to worry about, that they know that the income is going to be there no matter what economy, no matter what president, and no matter what geopolitical event is going on in the world, because we're always going to be surprised at all of those things.
Hmm.
And so expect the surprises, but as a CEO and as a business owner, you're going to spend a lot of time with these people. So we just as well have some fun with them, get to know them, and treat them with respect and dignity.
Okay, good advice. Retirement for living and living the life that those retirees want, I assume, is kind of part of that same equation. Is that right?
Yep, yep.
Okay, that's good. Did you come up with that retirement for living? Because that's an interesting kind of play on words.
I paid a marketing firm to bring that to me.
Okay, all right, that's a good
They
one. I
give me
like it.
three choices, and when I saw that one, I said, "That's the one right there. That's it." So
There you
it's
go.
very fitting for us.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay. Well, good. Joe Pat, I wanted to thank you for being on the show. A very good discussion, a lot of interesting information that I think a lot of the listeners will be interested in taking in. So I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining.
Yep. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for having me.